As the cool kids would say, enough time has passed. What's up, guys? I love Hunter here, and here to do a breakdown / discussion of why 7 deadly sins / Fortnite's the duology, whatever you want to call it, it's gotta at least be solar. A bare minimum solar. I mean, no, a bare minimum Splinter. If it is the big year 2024 and you ain't rapping planetary suddenly since you've lost it, but we can get so much higher, so high, yo. But let's not waste any more time. Let's talk about why. Editing me. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do mean to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, I've been repping planetary to star to solar 7 deadly sins for a while now. Admittedly, I haven't been repping like the bigger metas. Like, I know there are larger metas, like especially if you interpret certain things certain ways. I know there's like a uni meta, there's a multi meta. Personally, I haven't gotten that far, and I don't think I ever. Well, who knows? Maybe the way Knockup is cooking now, maybe I will. But with that being the case, I've kind of always been in that point. And the earliest that started was all the way back when we finally got the reveal of the Demon King and the Supreme Deity creating their own realms, and obviously our explanation of Sunshine. I kind of just like linked those two pieces, put that together, lore meta. Bada bing, bada boom. It sort of spread, kind of, sort of. I've seen it in places, I've seen it in other places. But once again, I'm not even going to fully claim credit, because apparently other people made that before me, and I ain't even mad about that. I just noticed it and came into my own points and views. But once again, it was always based on lore. That's the one issue everyone had with the lore meta, because it's born of this panel right here, where we have the Lady of the Lake explain, it is said that chaos first created the world. It birthed the supreme deity, the demon lord, and its third offspring, the sacred tree. Finally, the supreme deity created the celestial realm and the goddess race. The demon lord created the demon world and the demons, and the sacred tree created the fairy realm and its fairy folk. That was it. Notably, obviously, the bigger statement there is chaos. It said that chaos first created the world. Now, obviously, this is like open the door, kind of like uni 7 deadly sins, based on the fact that we don't know what world means in this context. Obviously, it's not society, considering like there's clearly no planet there. So at bare minimum, it's been planetary. So like there's that. But at the same time, I've seen people argue uni based off this. But the only reason I've always been like so iffy about uni chaos and stuff like that is because the drive of power that was born amidst the ancient stars far, far away. So I was always like, I'm not too sure about that. But obviously, with that in combination with the way that Sunshine works and all that, usually scrumbling up to stuff, I've kind of had star planetary 7 deadly sins for a while. But of course, the biggest contention everyone always had with it is the same contention people kind of have with almost any other series. Where at though? That's a cool leap you made there. That's a funny leap you made there, Buckaroo. That's a nice assumption. But where is it? It's kind of like how, a character can't be planetary unless we see them destroying a planet. That's kind of where we've always been. And obviously, there's the other angle to that, the creation versus destruction angle. Personally, I probably need to make a whole video talking about creation versus destruction, and why, if anything, creation on an energy level is always more impressive than destruction. But essentially, creation versus destruction was always the other angle of that. Like, well, sure, Buckaroo, even if they did create it, that doesn't mean they have the capacity to destroy it, even though it takes more energy to create things than destroy things. But that's the other side of it. So, obviously, while the lore meta has been existing ever since this came out, which is literally like darn near 5 years ago now, like it's been a minute since this panel dropped, ultimately, it was just lacking the reinforcement, I'm like, sure, maybe characters should get it, but who really feels, it's up in the air, chaos, the gods, they're untouchable, they're strong. Obviously, just completely ignoring the fact that we've seen multiple characters, wrong thing. We've seen multiple characters fight and scale to and outright bully these gods before. So, it's kind of always been there, but once again, people are vague about it, and that's fine. You want to see it, I get it. And Nakaba, for the longest time, for some reason, was very, very vague about showing us a star. We saw the Celestial Realm. We saw Mael in the Celestial Realm. That was the other basis of the lore meta. We saw Mael versus Meliodas in the Prisoners of the Sky flashback prequel manga chapter. We saw Mael in there. We know who's using Sun. We know how Sun works. Bada bing, bada boom, lore meta, so that means Celestial Realm star. Right. And there's separate spaces, right. But, obviously, there was that. Then, Chris Light came out. And everybody and their mama, myself included, busted all over the screen when we saw, not one, I put up 3 fingers, not one, but 2 moons in the demon realm. Now, naturally, people have hot contentions about that. Okay, sure, you may have 2 moons, But where's the sun at? And of course, there's that one frame that may be a sun, maybe a clash, but regardless, it's that 50-50, that back and forth, that up and down, that left and right. You know, it could be a sun, but maybe it isn't a sun. You get one news or another, blah, 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 blah. There's always been that hot debate, that thick debate, that juicy debate on whether or not, like, you know, that sun in the demon realm is really a sun or anything like that. And, you know, technically, there are planets like Mars that have less mass than Earth, that have 2 moons, maybe something like that. Like, there's always been that debate, too. And once again, Nakaba, for some reason or another, was just very particular about not showing us, like, anything related to a night sky or anything related to really a sky in general in either of the realms. When we got to the Demon World arc in Foreign to the Apocalypse, a lot of people, hi, it's me on people, a lot of people were really, really hoping from the bottom of their grumbly empty hearts that we were going to see a night sky. Because the night sky would kind of push it, right? Like, obviously, sure, we saw the night sky in Cursed by Light, but it was just the moons, where there were no stars in that shot. And obviously, there were no stars in the daytime, obviously, because we got the sun, maybe. But with it being the case, Nakaba, he kept dancing around it. He kept Millie rocking around it, if you will. And of course, you know, I appreciate a good Millie rock here or there, but it does get on my good nerves. But naturally, Nakaba dropped a statement. Immediately, I couldn't find it, but I know it exists. Someone asked him about Camelot, and actually kind of asked it how big it is. Like, what's the scale of it? And Nakaba explained, oh, Camelot is like a multi-realm structured thing. In fact, let me see if I can... No, I couldn't find out what was pregnant with this video. But essentially, Nakaba said, some Camelot realms, there's nothing. Some Camelot realms, there are massive starry skies. But of course, a statement is a statement, right? So, like, cool story, Nakaba, where it at, though? We kind of never knew. It's always been super duper vague and weird and funky. Like, fine, okay, so there are stars, but why can't we see them? Nakaba, why can't we see them? But then, Nakaba said, fine. I'll drizzle a little bit more in front of you. You freaks, you animals, you creatures. I'll give you a little bit more juice. And then we got this cover page for chapter 159 of 4 Nights of the Ababalaba. This is a moon and some stars with post-time skip Dwayne. Why did I say Dwayne? But Gawain. And you may be wondering, Pencilman, why are you freaking geeking over this? This is just like a cover image. Those aren't canon. And that's what I typically usually do. I'm always like, if it's on the cover page, like, it could be canon, but it can't be canon. Like, sure, sometimes we've seen cover pages build directly into the chapters, but unless it's something like that, I'm always going, you know, it's kind of not canon. It didn't help that I did a short review for this, and thusly my brain completely glazed over the fact that it wasn't looking for any scaling details. But with it being the case, this is clearly a moon and some stars. And we know this is Gawain and Camelot, because this is a post-time skip Gawain, and we know we've only seen post-time skip Gawain and Camelot. This wouldn't be in the real world. And obviously, Camelot by nature is a separate space from the regular world. So for there to be so many scars? We're talking about the main villain of Lion King? So many stars in the sky, and a moon, that means that in the realm that Gawain is in, that little separate space, those are stars and a moon. But, of course, maybe Nakaba, sensing my complete lack of reaction to this for some reason in chapter 159, was like, fine. They've been itching, they've been scratching, they've been fiending, they don't like this statement, they don't like this, they don't like that, they don't like this, they don't like that. Fine. Let me just lay it fat, thick, and bare in the darn mangi and let them look at it, slob over it, and fiend over it. And here I am, many weeks later, in chapter 166, slobbering, looking at it, and fiending over it. And it feels like Nakaba himself will double down so hard on the power and the scale and the uniqueness and transcendence of chaos that he just decided to have even the characters acknowledge it. Look at that. 3 moons. We're all able to go crazy if we stay in Camelot. Look at that. Now, I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna risk it because I was looking at the review where I freaking geeked over this. You couldn't really see the stars that well there, because of how I typically try to alter my videos in order to make sure that any of the manga companies don't come down from the heavens with a blazing sword and strike me down. But with it being the case, stars. Numerous stars and a canon manga panel with 3 moons. And this is an Anfuin, a realm of Camelot. And note, I said realm. Singular of the multi-realm nature that is Camelot. Now, for the longest time, I was being safe. I was playing gently bully ball, a little bit of bully ball, just putting it out there, you know, planetary, star, small star, low solar. Just because, like, a lot of it was based on assumptions and fusions of mechanics, at least for me, in the lore meta. Obviously, Cursed by Light kind of blew that door open, but still, it's always kind of been like, let's be gentle with it. And also, there's another common argument, the idea that, well, we don't know how long this took to create. We don't. In terms of the Demon King and the Supreme Deity creating their respective realms, it could have taken them a day, it could have taken them an instant, it could have taken them a million years. We don't know. Because there just isn't enough time to specify it matter. That's another thing. Obviously, creation feats and destruction feats, they matter a lot on time. Sure. Could I destroy a house? Yes. But I would need equipment and a whole lot of time. So it wouldn't be that impressive. I wouldn't be building level for destroying a house. Because it would take me literally forever. But we know how Arthur created Camelot. And at bare minimum, he created it kind of like that. Because we know how Arthur makes world. We literally see him do it. Well, admittedly, we don't see him do it directly. We don't see him create Camelot, but we've seen other characters within the Seven Deadly Sins universe immediately create pocket spaces and worlds and stuff like that. In fact, why did I not prep that? But essentially, there is the images of Kath creating a world, and then Arthur immediately creating a world within that world, and the little pocket space. So we know that when it comes to the chaos creatures, and presumably any of their lineage, whenever they're creating something, it's instantaneous. So Arthur made a space, or really multiple spaces, with multiple stars and multiple moons. Now, you may be wondering, okay, Pennsylvania, what was that? It means that star and planetary is now the low ball, at least specifically for Arthur and chaos itself. And possibly other characters, and you may be wondering, how does that work? Well, essentially think about it like this. In order to have a starry night sky, you cannot have multiple stars too close to the planet. Just think about it for a second. Imagine if there was a star even twice the distance from our solar system twice the distance from our planet that our sun is. Everything would break. So, you need to have them a decent distance apart. So to have a starry night sky that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. That means that Arthur created multiple celestial bodies. Multiple. Endless celestial bodies. Well, not endless, but still multiple celestial bodies. That is bare minimum multisolar and possibly multi-galaxy because of how light travels and how light works. In order for us to see stars, that means light has had to travel a far distance. Quite a far distance. So for us to see somebody stars in Camelot, meaning Arthur simply, if I had to imagine how Arthur did it, he just created a world based on his imagination and based on the original world that he was initially born into. And thusly, by doing that, he ended up creating multiple galaxies, probably by accident, or at least multiple solar systems. But the reason I say galaxies is because, it's very likely. Then again, it's hard to tell. Simply because they're stars, we can highball to galaxy. I think galaxy is the highball. Really, no, realistically at this point, uni is the highball. I say multisolar is the low ball. Or it's the mid-ball at this point. It's kind of what it has to be. Just based on how the world works and how we scale things. So remember, obviously, scaling is just an exercise of a belief in fiction, right? But we don't know how to scale fiction unless it's just really say within the fiction that things work differently. We kind of have to assume they work on our world in order to calcs and values for that. So for Arthur to create a starry night sky in just one of his many realms, when we've already seen a hypothetical other, not it, please, work with me, not it. But we know there are other realms with even more. Once again, this is a cover page, once again, with debatable canonicity. But still, on this cover page, many stars in there. Someone can count them all. I ain't gonna do it. But still, we know multiple realms are like that. And we know, based on how Arthur creates world and how Chaos creates world and how Kath creates world, it's thought, it's immediate, it's imagination, right? Imagination made reality. They are reality warpers. So Arthur has the capacity to imagine, and not only imagine, but maintain realms with multiple star systems in them. Now, I'm not the perfect scaler man. I'm not. But at least in my opinion, that's bare minimum multisolar. Now you may be wondering, okay, Pencil Man, sure, why not? All right. It may be multisolar, but who actually scales to that, bro? And that's a good question. Does anyone actually scale to Arthur? And by proxy, Chaos King Arthur. Depends on how you interpret it. Obviously, by the end of the series, our casting crew is going to scale to him. One way or another, they have to. If they're going to fight him, they're going to scale to him. But right now, in the current manga, does anyone scale to him? Can anyone prove a threat to his life? Can anyone even do damage to him? Because realize, ultimately, if you're able to scratch somebody who can destroy multiple universes, you're kind of low-key unity, or something of that sort, because you're able to break their durability. So are there any characters within the Seven Deadly Sins universe, or the Four Knights duology, or the Seven Deadly Sins duology, and by proxy the Four Knights universe, who can damage? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, once again, this has the question that every Seven Deadly Sins fan has been going back and forth on for a while now. In fact, I still see debates about it to this day just because of how important it is, and the fact that it's going to be animated soon, I do believe, or it's already been animated. I'm not sure. I'm not fully caught up on the Fortnite anime, unfortunately. I'm not caught up on part 2. But I believe this is about to get animated, or is going to be. Regardless, I know the discussion is going to start again. Lance versus Arthur. Lance clearly damages Arthur. However, question, how strong is this Arthur? What percentage is he? We don't know. If we're just to go with the idea that he is the Chaos King, then, he's pretty darn strong. And he created everything. Everything. So Lance, directly scaling to the Arthur, is, Buku Bonkers. And that would mean anyone who scales to Lance, or relative to this Arthur, or could do damage to this Arthur, would also scale to some portion, I will consistently say, considering this is a base Chaos King Arthur, not necessarily a Chaos Eyes Arthur, some portion of that multi-solar. Some portion of it. And with that being the case, we see, where is it? Where are you? You cannot hide from me. So ignorant. Where is it? He says the statement with Meliodas. I believe it's in chapter 80. Let's take a look. Where is it? Essentially, Arthur makes a statement that while Lance is a pretty cool guy, he's pretty darn strong. Yeah. He still ain't really that guy. As we see Arthur say, I see. The secret to your strength is mind reading. You do have fine battle senses and reflexes, but you still don't quite measure up to Meliodas. Thus, you are only able to disable me because you're able to read 2 steps ahead. Is that it? So, at least in Arthur's opinion, Mel is just like that. Like, to the point where he still would outscale this Lance who's doing clear damage to him. And in fact, I believe it stated even a little bit earlier. Calm down, Tristan. You need to regain your composure. Shut up. If you hadn't interfered, I would have taken more damage, and your father wouldn't have been hurt at all. So, Arthur fully believes that Mel scales to him. Or at least to some degree that he could actually take damage from Mel. Now, is this lethal amounts of damage? But even if this Arthur, this base Arthur, scales to an 1,000th, a millionth of the power of his full power self, which would be ludicrous, right? Like, obviously, the multipliers could get that big. I'm not sure. But essentially, the idea of Arthur being untouchable is non-existent. He is touchable, at least this version of Arthur. Unless we assume, once again, it'd be pure headcanon to assume at this point that this isn't Arthur. And the Arthur we go to see get pressed by Lance is not Arthur. I mean, like, character scale to Arthur. And note, it's just the idea that Lance's power isn't necessarily fully an exception, as we get highlighted in 79. Is it 79 or is it 80? It may be 80. Let's see, I think it's 80. Right here, what Tristan says is, he's never even attempted to explain how or why, but his current strength could match the legendary 7 Deadly Sins. And that's the pedestal Lance is always put on. Matching the 7 Deadly Sins. Not exceeding them. Now, of course, you could argue this is matching the entire 7 Deadly Sins group as a whole, but with Arthur's statement, that throws them more into contention. And actually, there is hot debate between AM King Mel and current Lance. But, with that being the case, characters are scaling to Arthur. Characters are scaling to a guy who created multiple star systems just like that. In an instant. Based on how we know Chaos creates worlds and stuff like that. So, what does that mean? It means the verse is swole. Because that's the crazy thing. The verse is swole. The verse is matchable. And it's all because of Arthur. And once again, I would argue maybe it'd be inconsistent if we already didn't have these ideas set up back at the end of part 1. Or, well, not the end of part 1. At the end of Seven Deadly Sins. That it is possible The deities exist, and they are capable of creating realms of their own, of great size, scale, and raw power. And the idea that these deities are in fact touchable. Like, we see the deities they get touched. They get touched a punch. The Demon King takes a whole bunch of damage while in his prime. In his prime! So there's no excuse on the idea that, oh, maybe the prime deity doesn't. No, we see the prime Demon King. He gets vicious backshots from all the sins, except for like Dan and like Gother. But still, like, that's the thing. The sins scale to the deities. And note, at least, unless you think it's something special or weird or different, the deities, in some sense, or at least their magical capabilities, which is seemingly the culmination of their abilities overall, they scale somewhat to their daddy, or their mama, or their creator. As it said, in light of such perfect work, the two gods were filled with jealousy and apprehension. They feared that the love and respect of their own created races devoted to them would be stolen by their creator, Chaos, the supreme deity in the demon world. Lord work together to seal chaos away. So they have enough magical power to seal chaos away. The same chaos that's currently fueling Arthur, the same Arthur who created multiple star systems. So once again, unless you want to sit here and say that the Demon King and Supreme Deity sealing magic works multiple tiers upon tiers upon tiers upon tiers upon tiers, like literally the difference between planetary to star, where you would make the arguments for the Supreme Deity and the Demon King just going with the lore meta and them creating their own realms and assuming everything's super duper tiny and bare minimum, to multiple star systems is crazy. Look at the difference. Think of the difference between the Frieza Saga and the Cell Saga. Star levels versus solar. And if you want to lowball, I'd take the Buu Saga, but like you really have to lowball the Buu Saga. Like I personally like put the Buu Saga in like Galaxy, the multi-galaxy. But like if you want to lowball the Buu Saga and just say like Super Saiyan 4 Goku is multi-solar, think of the difference between Namek Super Saiyan Goku and Buu Saga Super Saiyan 4 Star Buu Saga Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Think of that difference. Think of Final Form Frieza, or even really First Form Frieza, who has calcs to be like small star level, to Fat Buu. Think of the power differentials there. And remember that the Supreme Kais believe they could have one-shot Frieza at any point. And then they are bullies or victims of Buu. So like, think of the scale difference there. Unless you want to sit here and argue that the Supreme Deity and the Demon King managed to seal away their creator, who was like hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of times stronger than them, because their magic is just that potent, then they must scale to some point of that. And by that point, characters who scale to their prime variations, at least based on that's described here, this looks like the old Demon King and the old Supreme Deity, not the prime one. Like it seems like characters scale to this level of power, and it's not all too inconsistent because of the deities and the fact that this has been established and repeated over and over again. We have the statement from Nakaba. We have images in Cursed by Light. We have the images on the cover page. We have the casual mention in chapter 166. We have so much now. We have so much now to sort of just reinforce this idea, to buckle it down, that I'm not even sure how you can unbuckle it. It feels like Nakaba himself is kind of just pushing the narrative. Where before, the impressive feats in the series were like, oh, you can level a continent. Or not level a continent. You can split a mountain in half with a twig, you can destroy a country or two. You kind of build like that for now we are just at that point where realm busting is just a thing. You can just slaughter realm creators if you really feel like it. You can just be built like that. You can just be built like that. And characters, numerous characters are established to be, if not in that tier, knocking on the door of it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that I think ultimately, I think it makes absolutely perfect sense that Big Daddy Gother is going to be able to come here and like one tap Arthur, do real serious damage to Arthur. No, I don't think Gother can punch Arthur to death. But considering how Bond fights, considering how Diane fights, considering how King fights, and considering that Arthur fears them enough that he's not going out and running ones with them, so tells me they just built like that. They can do damage. They can scratch them. And when you scratch a being that creates multiple star systems, it goes bonkers. The whole verse is dancing. Like, at this point, it has to be. At this point, like, now, I'm kind of looking. Once again, you would have to go. I think the only way you could save it now is dive on the splagooter that is, well, creation doesn't equal destruction. And at that point, I ask you, why? Why does it not? Because once again, unless I'm mistaken, to create something from nothing. It's not only literally impossible, there's a set amount of energy in our universe, but hypothetically speaking, it would take way more energy to do that. It's kind of like how there are multiple tiers of destruction, right? So like, if you punch something and it shatters, there's fragmentation. But if you vaporize something, that takes way more energy. So if you were to create something, that would take way more energy than even vaporizing it, removing it from existence. Putting something into existence takes way more energy. So if we have a creature that's out here creating entire realms with star systems inside of them and multiple moons and planets on planets on planets on planets on planets, all in instance based on their imagination and their thoughts, and they're maintaining it, that's it. The only other argument I could see is that you go with the idea that Camelot is an illusion. It's a realm of false dreams and reality. And on top of that, no one scales to Chaos Arthur. Full Chaos Arthur. Considering even Lance does not really land a hit on him. And you could definitely argue with this statement from Nanashi here. I know I've been dancing over this panel. You could argue, where are you? Don't you hide from me. I hear that you've tussled with Arthur once. He said you outclassed any seasoned warrior he's seen, from your intuition to your courage and strength. So you could argue, if Lance is even skilled one, then no one was skilled one, right? But once again, you would have to start making weird arguments. And to start making weird arguments that, the base Arthur and the Chaos Eyes Arthur, they're in two entirely separate dimensions. Base Arthur is like mountain level, and then you have Chaos Eyes Arthur, who's like multi-solar to possibly galactic. You have to make arguments like that. And ain't that weird? For there to be such a massive gap and characters not instantly die. Like clearly there's some sort of portion. Arthur makes up some sort of portion of full power Arthur. Base Chaos King Arthur does that. And remember, Arthur's life was threatened by Lance. The same Lance who was suppressed that Arthur personally believes is still inferior to this Meliodas. It's there, y'all. It's there. Once again, though, the only other argument I could see is you say Camelot is an illusion. It's falsehood. It's fake. And thusly, all those realms and stars and all that is fake. But, like, outside of the people, what of Camelot is really an illusion? And by the people, I mean the people that people are dreaming up from the reflection of the realm. Like, Boris's little sister and the Jade incident that we recently went through. Like, other than that, what else is fake? The planet clearly isn't. They can stand on it. The stars clearly aren't. The sun does shine. The moon's clearly they're there. Like, that's the everything else is real and tangible. You can survive and live there. And we know that Chaos, the same power that made Camelot, made the base world that everyone lives on. So unless we're going to start arguing that the base world, the base universe that Leonis and the rest of the Stellar Sins universe takes place on is fake and false, I don't think we can do the same thing with Camelot. I think Arthur's just that guy. So, at the end of it all, what does this mean? At a bare minimum, it means that Arthur himself, at his full power, is the lowest planetary. The absolute lowest. The lowest of low balls, planetary. Mid balls, I'd say multi-solar. I'd say multi-solar pretty solidly. I'd have to, I can't really, I don't think I can go lower than multi-solar with the 2 times we've seen star systems that knock up a statement. We can't, I can't keep dancing around. It's a thing. And just based on how we scale things, this would be multi-solar at a low ball. Once again, you can definitely argue multi-galactic. Realistically, if he created all this and just based on how far star systems are away from us and how the universe works, you can definitely make an argument for multi-galactic. I wouldn't even be mad at you. You can make an argument for uni, depending on how many universes or how many galaxies you think there are based on these images. Once again, I don't know. I'm not that good of a skiller, man. So I'll check what people are saying. But I say the mid-ball is basically multi-solar, just based on how many different realms we see that do have multiple star systems in them. It kind of just has to be multi-solar. High ball, galactic to uni. That's it. Just based on the fact that we just don't have a statement about the universe yet. And we know chaos came from the ancient stars. So, if there are ancient stars, there likely is a pre-existing universe. And once again, Camelot seems to run on the same time space as the main universe. So, until we get a statement about Camelot or about a portion of Camelot having a different time flow or something like that, then I feel a little hesitant to be uni or time space creating. But overall, that's what I think. Please, what you guys think. Oh, sorry. Before I get into that, Arthur at bare minimum is that. Then any character who scales to some portion of Arthur, or any of the deities who scale to some portion of chaos, they also are breaching into whatever portions that you think they scale to of those three separate tiers of planetary or multisolar or multigalactic. So characters like the Demon King Supreme Deity, they scale to some portion of that. Characters who scale to Supreme Deity and the Demon King, such as Mal in Seven Deadly Sins, or Escanor in Seven Deadly Sins, or Bond in Seven Deadly Sins, or King in Seven Deadly Sins, scale to some portion of that. And same thing for the Four Knights variations of the Sins, who apparently scale to some portion of Chaos Arthur, to the point where he does not want smoke. So they all scale to that, and by proxy, Land scales to this as well. The only characters of major importance who do not seem to scale to this are any of the other Four Knights right now. We have no arguments or proof that Percy or Tristan or Gawain can suddenly do anything against Arthur just yet. We saw how Tristan versus Arthur went. And while he's probably stronger, we don't know how much stronger. Same thing with Gawain. Same thing with even Percy. We don't know how those two will interact, or that trio will interact yet. And obviously none of the side characters of our current main cast will scale them either. But still, a fat chunk of the verse got way stronger solidly, at least in my opinion. But that's what I think. Please, what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please do me a favor and leave solar system backwards. I was gonna do that. Leave system solar in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that lovely case bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a page down below where you support me for as low as $1 month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. Also, now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks will include the live reactions. We have the series I have to review, including the latest chapter of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, chapter 166, and free variations of all my videos. And if you become a $25 patron or a $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, I do have a link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below where you can drop 5 beans for a short video, 25 beans for a long video, or any beans at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members: Zara, Greyhound, Eternal Flame, NMA, Real Rare, Red Wolf 4765, Astro, Brandon Payne, G Prosper, and Glacier XZ. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 patrons: Midnight Lord 21, Kevin Encarnacion, Sean, Igneel Lind, and A+A. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $7 members: Fine and Austin Wimberly, A Uchiha, along with Yuki Ally. And I'd like to give a big ol' thank you to our $10 members: Robbie Uchiha, Jay Warrior, and AZ Void. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $10 patrons: Overlord Zero, Joaquin Munoz, and Idem Okami. And I'd like to give a final, giga, legendary, superhuman, beyond the bounds of reality thank you to our That Guy with a Pencil tier patron, Calvin Elder.